This episode is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, the #1 seller of games and gaming accessories. And gatheringmagic.com, the #1 resource for Magic the Gathering news and articles.
Hello and welcome to this special edition of CMDR Decks. Today we have an exclusive Dragon's Maze preview. We'll be getting to that here momentarily. And as this is CMDR Decks, we primarily talk just about Commander, so we'll be referencing this card within the greatest format of all time, Commander. Alright, let's do it, shall we? We're going to be doing this in pieces today. Let's go with the first line. It's the name and mana cost. The name, Catch. Interesting. And the mana cost. It's 1 red, 1 blue, and 1 colorless. So we are definitely within Is It. And since it's 3 casting costs, that's relatively inexpensive. So this is a card we could be casting very early on in the game or late in the game and not really taxing our mana too much. Let's take a look at the next section here. The art. We have an Is It Goblin riding on the back of a Selesnya Loxodon. Now, I don't know much, but I know 80s cartoons, and the red eyes mean something's going on here, some kind of mind control or some other kind of nefarious activity. I like it. It sort of reminds me of Slowbad and Bosch from Mirrodin Block. I mean, I could totally imagine these guys running around Ravnica having some adventures together. Maybe running through the 10th Street Market, knocking over stalls and stuff. It's good art, sort of a little dark, a little foreboding. All right, let's move on. The type line. This is a sorcery. It is a rare sorcery. All right, here we go. So we have a rare sorcery at red, blue 1 called Catch. And we've got a goblin riding a Loxodon. All right, let's get into it. What does this card do? Gain control of target permanent until end of turn. Untap that permanent. It gains haste until the end of turn. So we've seen effects like this before on Threaten and Ray of Command, so it definitely fits within red and blue, but it's a little bit better than Ray of Command or Threaten because it's any permanent, not just a creature. So we've seen that effect before on cards like Zealous Conscripts and Dominus of Fealty. So it's a one-shot effect that can take any permanent on the battlefield. And that means any permanent. So artifacts, enchantments, lands, or maybe your opponent's got a really good planeswalker on the other side of the board. You want to use one of its abilities, or maybe it's close to going ultimate. Go ahead and steal it, then pop it yourself. That sounds fun. And then, of course, creatures. You can always take the creatures with it. And there's all kinds of fun things you can do with that, like the Bazaar Trader combo. And probably the best way to abuse this card as far as creatures are concerned, have a Helm of Possession in play, take their best or their second best creature, swing with it, then sack it to Helm of Possession to take their other good creature. That's like a 2-for-1, I think. Yeah, pretty good. And now that I've seen the abilities on this card, it sort of changes that dynamic with our Goblin and Loxodon friends up there. Yeah, they're having fun and they're running through the market, but it's only till the end of turn. So, like, at nighttime, that Loxodon's going to revert back to, like, not being under control and then freak out and probably want to smash that Goblin. So, sort of a weird dynamic. Maybe not as fun as I originally thought, but still a better love story than Twilight. All right, well, I think there's something more to this card. Let's take a look at the full card here and see what we've got going on. Oh, this is one half of a split card. We see the keyword fuse, which means we can cast this side and the other side. So let's take a look. I'm not going to slow roll this one. Let's just throw it out there. We have Catch and Release. 1 white, 1 red, 4 sorcery, of course. Each player sacrifices an artifact, a creature, an enchantment, a land, and a planeswalker. So let's take a look. What is this not? Well, this isn't Wrath. It isn't Armageddon. It isn't Austere Command. It's not going to wipe out a whole section of a specific type or two of permanents, but it is going to take out one of many different things. So this card sort of reminds me of like Decimate or Cataclysm, but not as bad as Cataclysm. So like maybe if Decimate and Cataclysm had a child, and like the green sort of fell out of the gene pool and it was a little baby. And actually, the card this most reminds me of is World Queller. It's like a one-shot World Queller, but it's for every permanent type. It's not going to sit around on the board like he can. So I like it. Overall, I think this is a good card, and the best way to use this is to go ahead and use it when you fuse it and take your opponent's creature or artifact or land or enchantment or planeswalker. So that means when you do fuse it, you get to pick the best permanent your opponent controls, take it, and then sacrifice it to the release side. So that means the biggest, baddest permanent they've got is going to go bye-bye, and then you'll still be up 1 permanent because you've only sacrificed 4 of yours, while your opponent has effectively lost 6 of their permanents. We're looking at a card that color identity, blue, red, and white, means it's only going to fit into blue, red, and white commander decks or 5-color decks. I can easily see this sliding into any 5-color deck, no problem. And let's take a look real quick and see for the red, white, and blue commanders what we might be able to do with it. Now, I think it's going to be a non-bow with zedruu. Zedruu, of course, usually if you're playing her for her abilities, you're going to be donating your own permanents, which means if you cast the release side, they'll be sacrificing your permanents, which means you're not going to draw cards off of it, you're not going to gain life off of it, and you'll be actually the one coming out behind from release. So, big X with the zedruu. Don't think it's going to be any good, but some definite possibilities here with Ruhan and Numot. In fact, I think with Ruhan, if you get him out there, start attacking, and your opponent is going to start throwing out chump blockers, maybe in desperation, you use the catch side, remove one of their chump blockers, maybe their only chump blocker, get in for another 7 damage. That might be enough to kill him because he's so big already. For Numot, on the release side, he's already putting pressure on their lands every time he attacks and can activate his ability. If you put additional tax on their resources by making them sack those enchantments, artifacts, planeswalkers, and creatures, it's definitely going to put him in a bind, and it might just be enough for him to go ahead and pull it out and take control of the game altogether. There you have it, Catch Release, the exclusive Dragon's Maze preview card brought to you by Gathering Magic and CMDR decks. And do not forget, please subscribe and favorite for more awesome Commander content.